What's up, guys? I am Missy Renee, and in today's video we're going to talk about how to maintain staying in the desired state so that you can keep manifesting what you do want instead of manifesting what you don't. So if manifestation and conscious creation are topics that you are interested in learning more about, then definitely do not forget to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell icon so that way you're notified when I release new videos every week. If you're interested in more resources such as one-on-one coaching or my brand new membership group, I will have all of that linked down in the description box below, so definitely be sure to check it out. And I wanted to make today's video after talking to a client the other day, and she was explaining that no matter what she did, even though she was able to get herself into a good state, even though she was able to get herself into a desired state, sooner or later, inevitably, she would always revert back, and she'd always wind up getting triggered over and over again. And it got to the point where she was like, I'm doing everything that I can, but I just cannot stop spiraling. I cannot help the fact that these anxious feelings keep coming back up. It seems like I don't even have control over any of this. And I feel it's really, really important to talk about this aspect because it's one of the most important in the manifestation process. So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about maintaining the state of the wish fulfilled, what you need to do so, and how by letting go of all of the unwanted state, you can finally get yourself to that state of the wish fulfilled and perpetuate more and more of what you desire and what you want. So diving right into this, the number one thing that I see a lot of people do, and I was certainly in the habit of doing this myself, but the number one thing that I see a lot of people do is, say for an example, a specific person, someone's trying to manifest a specific person, and they're doing all the things correctly, they're getting themselves in the right state, and they start seeing signs, maybe that person reaches out to them, they then start to revert back. Maybe they get a little bit lax on their practice, maybe they start having those negative creeping thoughts pop back in once in a while, and they start to focus on those things, and then it perpetuates. And what starts as a little snowball turns into a full-blown avalanche. And then, before you know it, things have kind of repeated themselves. History has kind of repeated themselves. And this is what we want to avoid having to have happen. I've said it before, and I will say it again. Manifestation is a two-part process. It is getting yourself into a new state and perpetuating that state or maintaining that state. You don't want to revert back. The goal and objective is to sustain the state of the wish fulfilled because that is how you sustain your manifestation. The two go hand in hand. And this is essentially the same thing as letting go. They are one and the same. When we let go, when we drop the desire, we are effectively maintaining and sustaining that new state. We are letting go of all of the old facets, all of the old self-concept, all of those limiting beliefs and assumptions and expectations and all those fears and worry, and instead we are sustaining the state of the wish fulfilled. We are grounding ourselves in our new state. And I want to be very, very clear about that because there's a lot of confusion around letting go. So going forward, when you hear the term letting go, just remember that it means to sustain the new state. It's to let go of all of the old, unwanted, negative concepts and constructs and ideas that you created around yourself, around the situation, and around everything going on around you. This is when we are truly ignoring our circumstances and knowing that they do not matter, because we have gotten to a place where we are so confident in ourself that it doesn't matter what the 3D shows us. We know that it's done. And the number one way that you do this, and if there's only one thing that you take away from this video, and from all of my videos for that matter, it is one thing. If you want to maintain that state of the wish fulfilled, If you want to not only manifest your desire, but keep it around, it comes down to one thing. And that is making sure that you are prioritizing you. You need to make yourself the priority. And this goes for everything. And I mean everything. Going forward, no matter what it is that you want, you need to switch the focus onto you. And this is something that I see a lot of people struggling with. And I get it. I did the same thing too. We're not used to doing this. When we're new at this, the way that we've always lived our lives, the way that we've always responded to things is circumstance and the situation and separation and being powerless. So we need to stop doing this. We cannot manifest and sustain the new desired state unless we first put the priority on ourself. Because here is the very sneaky truth. If we are not prioritizing ourselves, if we are fixated on the outside circumstances and on the situation at hand that we don't want, the unwanted, undesired circumstance, we are effectively giving our power away. We are implying to our subconscious that we are not in control here and that I am at the mercy of my 3D. I'm at the mercy of this other person. You don't want to give your power away. You want to take it back. And the only way you do this is by making yourself the priority. And what exactly do I mean by making yourself the priority? By making yourself a priority, you are focused first and foremost about changing those self-concepts and any of those limiting, old, unwanted concepts and ideas and beliefs and assumptions, all of those old things that got you in the situation in the first place. That needs to be the number one focus. You cannot move into a new state and dwell there if you keep reverting back to the old concept of self. When you are focused on yourself, you are no longer coming from a place of lack. You're no longer coming from a place of doubt. You're no longer coming from a place of not being worthy. You are giving yourself all of the things that you desire out of the relationship. And if you have been studying Neville or manifestation for any amount of time, you know that in order to create a change without, you must first make that change within. Because the reason that our SP goes away or that we lose them is because we don't have that secure foundation. We are not prioritizing ourselves first. You may think that you're coming from a place of love and self-worth, but that cannot be the case if what you're seeing is lack. And if you keep noticing not having it, and if you keep noticing fear and insecurity and jealousy and all of those things, you cannot manifest an SP or anything from that state of being. So in order to get out of that state and in order to maintain the new desired state, you must prioritize yourself first. And this is the part that a lot of people get hung up on, because there seems to be this obsessive thought that if I don't put the SP at the forefront, if I don't put my desire first, if I take my attention away from them, I'm not going to manifest them. If I put the focus on me, they're just going to go quietly into the night and go away. And this is false. This is false. I want to drive it. If this is your mentality, if you have a fear of putting yourself first because you're scared that you're not going to manifest your SP, I'm here to tell you, you have it completely backwards and that you have to put yourself as a priority if you want to manifest your SP at all. You have to put yourself first. The more and more you stop fixating on what it is that you want and instead focus on building yourself up to the person you want to be, the faster and easier it becomes to manifest. But here's the thing, and here's where a lot of people get tripped up. They stay in that state, they get themselves into that state, but then the moment that their person starts to show up, or they start to see signs that things are moving in the right direction, they start to immediately put the focus back on them. They immediately move back to focusing on that SP, or that money, or lack of money, or whatever it might be. They stop putting themselves first. They stop prioritizing themselves. And instead they start fixating on that person again. The same thing that got them in the situation to begin with. I've seen this happen time and time again. SP shows up. Maybe they start doing something that isn't desired. Maybe you start seeing signs of the old concept coming up. Maybe they do something that pisses you off. And you're like, what the fuck? Where did this come from? Why the hell are they acting like this? Once you start taking your focus away from you and start putting it back on them and their behavior and what they're doing wrong and their qualities that you don't like, that's when you're going to perpetuate those things. That's when you're going to see more and more of what you don't want. So what you do, if you see this happen, what you do if you start to notice behaviors that are not ideal, that is a sign to you that you need to start focusing on yourself again, that you need to stop fixating on the 3D circumstances. If something shows up in your reality and it's not what you want, that is a sign for you to turn within and keep working on yourself. Keep building yourself up. And the more that you do this, the more and more it's going to become second nature. It is sometimes really, really tempting to fall back into that old state and those old habits once things start showing up for you. Don't let this happen. If at any time something shows up that you do not want, the focus needs to be turned back within. Start putting yourself back on that pedestal. Start reminding yourself again of your self-worth and of your confidence and of your ability to do this, about your power and not giving your power away. Only when this becomes habitual and only when we can keep ourselves focused on you, this is how you can maintain it. This is how you can maintain that state of the wish fulfilled. This is how you maintain your manifestation when it already comes to pass. The focus needs to be on you and prioritizing yourself and making yourself up to the biggest and best version of you that you can possibly feel and that you can possibly experience. And I'm going to give you guys some step-by-step on how you can make sure that you're doing this and how to make sure that you are keeping yourself in the center focus. Number 1 is acknowledging how you feel. This is the observation. This is paying attention to what is going on internally. Sometimes we are tempted to just put our head in the sand and ignore any negative thoughts that come in, or any unwanted feeling, any anxiety, any sadness. We might have the temptation to just kind of run away and not even acknowledge it. But we need to acknowledge it if we're to make it go away. If you're not aware of what you're feeling and what you're thinking, you're not aware of what state you're dwelling in. So don't be afraid if it's something unwanted. You still need to be aware of the thoughts and the feelings throughout your day, because this is telling you directly what state you're in. And if you're not in the desired state, you know that you need to get yourself back on track. So acknowledge the feeling. Acknowledge what you're thinking. Pay attention to the inner workings of your mind, to your thoughts, your inner conversations, your feeling, your mood. All of these things are intrinsically linked to the state that you're dwelling in. And remember, our thoughts, what we are thinking, is a direct and automatic reaction based on the state that we're dwelling in. So instead of trying to flip every single thought all day, every day, just acknowledge that you're having these bad thoughts and these bad feelings and use that as a reminder to yourself that I've fallen off the bandwagon. I'm no longer dwelling in that state. I don't want to be here anymore. So clearly, I need to focus on getting back on track. Number 2, when you do notice yourself in this negative, unwanted state, when you do notice the barrage of unwanted thoughts and anxiety, ask yourself, how is this helping me? How does having these obsessive negative thoughts and this anxiety and fixating on the situation and on the lack of what I don't have, how is this helping me? Because Manifestation 101 says that by dwelling on what you don't want is going to keep manifesting more of what you don't want. So really, why am I choosing to fixate on these things? And it is a choice. It may not seem like it for some, it may not seem like it in that moment, but the reason that those negative thoughts keep barraging you and all of that anxious, unwanted, shitty feeling keeps barraging you is because, again, you're not putting the focus on building your self-concept. And I know it can feel really cathartic at times to have a wallow in despair and a pity party and shifting the blame onto something else or someone else. But ultimately, what is this serving here? How is this serving you? It's not. So don't let yourself get wrapped up in it. Acknowledgement is one thing, but we don't want to keep living and dwelling and festering in those negative, unwanted thoughts and unwanted feelings. If something happens that you don't like and you're tempted to go full in reaction mode, just take a moment before and ask yourself, really ask yourself, what good is this going to do? If I keep fixating on all these things that I don't want and keep acknowledging what I don't want, and I call up my best friend and I vent and rant and bitch for an hour about all the terrible things happening to me, what good is that doing? Really? Sure, you may feel better in the temporary short term, but ultimately, that's not what you want. That's not what you want. So sometimes it's just a matter of stepping in and asking yourself, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? What good is going to come from this? And if the answer is nothing, if the answer is no, there's no good that comes from this, then work on getting yourself out of that mindset. And this is where step 3 comes in. And that is to do everything you can and anything that you can to get yourself intentionally away from the negative situation. You want to intentionally take your focus off of whatever's going on that you don't want. And do this by any means possible. Go for a walk. Do something that's going to make you feel good. Work out. Go to the gym. It doesn't matter what it is. As long as you keep yourself occupied away from the negative circumstances. Keep yourself busy. This is where getting new hobbies, taking up something new, doing something a little bit different every day, just getting yourself out of that mindset. And you do that by intentionally taking your focus away from what you don't want. Even if it's just going online and looking at cute things, cute animals, or funny shit on the internet. It doesn't matter. Just get your focus off the thing that you don't want. Yes, you want to acknowledge it. You don't want to ignore anything that's going on. You don't want to live in denial about how you're feeling. But once you have acknowledged it, once you've realized, okay, yes, I'm feeling these things. Yes, I'm feeling this anxiety. Yes, I'm upset about this situation. But it's not going to do me any good to dwell on this. It might feel temporary relief if I bitch about it, but it's not ultimately going to get me to where I want. So I'm going to keep myself occupied with something else, whatever that might be. But just get your focus off the negative situation and feelings at hand. You want to instead put everything back on what you do want. Keep yourself in as much of even just a neutral state as possible. And the best way that I found to do this, what really, really helped me in getting my mind off of the circumstances, is meditation. Even just 5 or 10 minutes a day of meditation to just get centered will do wonders for you. Just getting yourself grounded. because you need to be grounded before you can move forward. You cannot manifest from a place of instability or swinging back and forth. That is being double-minded. And if you see the last video that I made about being double-minded, that is the number one reason that people fail to manifest, or that there are delays, significant delays in their manifestation. So get focused, get centered, get grounded. If you are feeling that wave of anxiety or that gnawing feeling at the pit of your stomach and it's not good, just take a moment, stop, breathe, and don't even worry about trying to get yourself uplifted. Just work on getting to a place of even keel. And the more and more that you do this, the more and more it does become second nature. Which brings us into step 4. And that is to repeat this process anytime you are noting the negative feelings come up, or something happens that you don't want and you're triggered and you're about to react and you know you're about to spiral. Acknowledge it. Say, okay, this sucks. I'm feeling like I'm about to go off the deep end here. But really, what good is it going to do? It's going to keep perpetuating more of what I don't want if I react negatively to this and I keep obsessing on it. So instead, I'm going to take a moment to ground myself, to get centered, and then I'm going to fill my day as much as possible with things that do uplift me, things that give me joy, things that give me satisfaction, things that make me happy, things that make me feel better. Because that's what it's all about. It's about feeling better. It is about putting yourself first at front and center and feeling better. Because real talk, you guys, when I manifested my SP back, I had to learn all of this the hard way. And I kept perpetuating more of what I didn't want because I put the focus on him. I put him on the pedestal. I thought I was living in the end. I thought I was manifesting what I wanted, but I just kept putting the focus on the circumstances and letting myself dwell in the negative feelings when they came up. And I kept feeling hopeless, and I kept feeling sorry for myself, and I kept being like, why isn't this working for me? And it's because I wasn't acknowledging all of the old concepts and limiting beliefs that I was carrying. I was not acknowledging my sense of self-worth, my fears of abandonment, my state of insecurities, my fears, my doubts, my obsessions. I wasn't paying attention to any of that, and I wasn't working on building myself up. I was focused on him. And because of that, it took 3 years from the time that he left me the second time to the time I finally manifested him back. But I will tell you this, from the time that I really started to put myself first, from the time that I really started to work on myself and realized that I needed to give myself all of that love and attention and admiration and confidence and self-worth and security, once I did that, once I stopped focusing on him, and once I really started to drive home that I was worth it, and that I was deserving, and that I was loved, and that I am a loving person, and that I have so much faith in myself, once I really started to clean house, and once I really started to go all in on changing me, that's when he came back. So do not forget to put yourself as the priority. Take your focus off of whatever it is you're trying to manifest. I know it might seem hard. I know there might be that fear that if you're not focused on them, that you're not going to manifest them, but could not be further from the truth. Self-concept is everything. What is going to determine your experiences in this life? What you want and what you desire is a byproduct of the state that you dwell in. It will come naturally to you once you have moved into and maintained that state of the wish fulfilled. As Neville always said, there is no one to change but self. And I cannot emphasize enough just how correct he was and how important this is. Because you are worthy of what you desire. You are worthy of the things that you want. You are deserving of the whole world and all the good things in it. But you cannot experience it from a place of fear and doubt and lack. Focus on you and make yourself the priority that you are. Because once you do this, and once you really go all in on fixing your self-concept and living that self-concept and filling your consciousness as the person that you desire to be, that is where everything falls into place. And that is how you manifest anything that you want. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video today. If you did, do not forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you're interested in checking out any of my other resources, I will have links down below to my one-on-one coaching, my blog, my social links, and my membership group. Oh, and my new podcast. So don't forget to check them out. Also, do not forget to check out these videos over here. Each video is a different topic, but it all goes into how to manifest the very best life possible. So until we meet next time, take care, be well, and never forget to make yourself the priority and that you can manifest anything that you want. Happy manifesting, guys.